my name is Lydia and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming a Netgalley accountability video because my ratio is getting a bit out of control. I first started a Netgalley account several years ago, I think, and I then had to abandon that account because there are like 90 books outstanding. There was no coming back from that. So I started a new account, I think last year or maybe the start of this year. I'm going in the same direction again because I have 18 books. So not nearly as bad as 90, but there are still 18 that I have to get to. My ratio isn't terrible. It's currently at 72%, and they recommend that you keep a ratio of 80. So I'm only 8% off the ideal because of 64 books that I've been approved, I have sent feedback for 46. But yeah, 18 is still a lot to have outstanding, especially when none of them are on my October TBR, which might need to change. So I'm going to be going through the 18 books on my Netgalley list and how much I want to read them. The good thing is they are all at least 2021 or 2022 titles. So even the ones that I'm a bit late for, I'm not too late. Like, it is still 2021 at least. I think the oldest I have is, the oldest one on here has a publishing date of the 24th of August this year. So I'm about 2 months behind with that one. Of the 18, 11 have not come out yet. So there are 7 that have already been published and I still haven't read or reviewed yet. That's not as bad as I thought. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than that. Probably will get a lot worse because I don't have any of these planned to read for the next few weeks. But I think I'm going to try and squeeze 1 or 2 onto my October TBR. There is one that's due to publish in 3 days. The first book I have on this list, which is also the oldest one, the 24th of August one, is Bad Witch Burning by Jessica Lewis. This is about black girl magic and witchiness, and I think there's like some resurrection in it. It sounded really cool when it first came on Netgalley, so I requested it and I thought I was going to get to it immediately because when I first started this new account, I made myself a rule that if I requested a book and I got approved, I had to read it within a week. That has gone down the drain, clearly. I do still want to get to all these books. There's a reason I requested them. If I end up DNFing them, that's fine. With Netgalley, I don't DNF through the button that says did not finish because it doesn't contribute to your ratio. So I tend to just give it a rating based on what I read so far and a review to say this is how I felt and I've DNF'd it for these reasons. I do wish Netgalley had a way you could DNF and it still counts towards your ratio. You're ending up giving books false ratings because you haven't actually finished them, and I don't like to rate a book that I haven't finished, but you can't give a review without a star rating on Netgalley, which I do think is a bit of a flaw. So Bad Witch Burning is about Katrina, who can raise ghosts, but then one time when she's trying to raise a ghost, she accidentally raises someone from the dead, and she realizes that this is quite a lucrative business, so she doesn't want to get rid of this dead body that she's raised. It sounds dark and feisty, and I've heard really good things about it, so I just need to get back into a witchy mood. I've read a few witchy books recently and had a few disappointments, so it'd be nice to read a witch book that I enjoy, and I think this one should be right up my street. It sounds really cool. I'd say that's a sort of medium to low priority because I'm not like super psyched to read it, but I do want to get to it. The next book on my list, which was published on the 7th of September, so not too long ago, was Never Saw You Coming by Erin Hahn. This is one that I keep seeing everywhere on Twitter, probably because I follow Erin, and this is about, I think, 2 church kids who sort of stray from the church and fall in love, and I think there's quite a few dark themes, possibly of like church abuse. I'm not fully sure, but I've seen a lot about it online. I did start this one, and I think I only read 1 or 2 chapters, so not enough to form an opinion really, and just never picked it up again because I think it was straying from my TBR maybe last month or at the end of August. Should have kept reading it if it was in August because it's out now. So it is about Meg and Micah, who both have complicated relationships with fate. Meg has just realised that everything she thought about her childhood was a lie. I'm not sure if she's found out she's adopted or something like that. And Micah's former preacher dad is in prison. So they've both got a lot of hang-ups about faith. They meet and I'm assuming they fall in love. I'm pretty sure it's a YA romance, but with a lot of like deep and family themes as well. I would say this is sort of a medium priority because it's one that I need to be in a mood for churchy YA. I can't remember if I've read any of Erin Hahn's books before, so I'm not sure if I know much about her style and whether I enjoy what she writes, but I keep hearing such amazing things about it, so that does kind of bump it up the list a bit. I'm intrigued by it, and I never really read books with church themes because it usually makes me a bit uncomfortable. but I think that's kind of the purpose of this one because they've both had issues with their faith. Yeah, this one's a medium priority, I think. This next one just came out 2 days ago in the UK, and I know it's going to be in one of the upcoming Illumicrate books, so that's why I haven't read this arc. So I do have an excuse for this one, and this is Iron Widow by Jiran J. Zhao. I've heard so much about this one. Everyone is absolutely raving about it. I know there's polyamory in it. It's queer. I'm excited for this one. And the only reason I haven't read the arc is because I want to read the copy that comes with Illumicrate. So I won't be reading this Netgalley arc. So this is like zero priority because I want to read the finished copy that I know I'm going to get, which I hope is going to be some gorgeous edition with sprayed edges. It's described as Pacific Rim meets The Handmaid's Tale. I don't know what Pacific Rim is, but I have read The Handmaid's Tale, which is like dystopia, and it also says it's a blend of Chinese history and mecha sci-fi, which sounds really cool. I'm very into the idea of mecha sci-fi. I started one recently that I absolutely hated, unfortunately. Gear Breakers, I think it was called. I got like halfway through an E-arc audiobook of that, and I just hated it. I couldn't get on with it at all, but that was also like mecha sci-fi. So this is about, it sounds really confusing, but this is about a world where boys and girls pair up to pilot chrysalises, I'm not sure, which are these giant robot things, and often the girls die while piloting them. But Zetian, I think, is the protagonist's name. She somehow kills the male pilot through her psychic link and is discovered to have this power that she can sacrifice boys to power the chrysalises. So she gets paired with Li Shimin. He's described in the summary as the strongest and most controversial male pilot. So there's definitely going to be some tension there. I've heard there's polyamory, and it sounds like an all-round like really cool book. The next one is The Grimrose Girls by Laura Pohl, which hasn't come out yet. It comes out in November, and this seems slightly dark academia-y. This one is described as The Descendants meets Pretty Little Liars. I haven't watched either of those or read them. I don't know if they're books as well as shows, so I don't know what to expect from that comparison. So yeah, this is dark academia because there's an academy involved, the Grimrose Academy, which is an elite school where these friends live, and one of their friends has just been murdered. So the three girls, Ella, Yuki and Rory, are trying to figure out what's happened to their friend. The police have deemed it a suicide, but they know that it's more than that. And there's a slightly fairy tale feel to this. I think the three girls are reimagined fairy tale heroes or heroines. There's a fairy tale curse involved, so it's a bit fantasy-ish. It's not just straight dark academia, but I just thought this sounded so good and so up my street when I first saw it on Netgalley. This one is, I'd say, medium high priority, just because I love dark academia. I love anything involving like murder and school, especially elite academies, so this one will be really interesting. Slightly daunted by the fairy tale aspect. I think it should be fun. I have no idea what number we're up to, but the next one is The One True You and Me by Remy Kate England. This is a queer, like contemporary, happy YA, possibly romance, I think. So it's described as one small fandom convention, one teen beauty pageant, one meet cute waiting to happen, which sounds absolutely perfect. I love the idea of fandoms and conventions and meet cutes. What's not to love, really? Although I have read another of Remy K. England's before. Remy K. England is also known as M.K. England, and they wrote The Disasters and Spellhacker. I haven't read Spellhacker, although it sounds really cool, because I read The Disasters and I rated it 2 stars. It was a massive disappointment for me. I just didn't enjoy it. Before now, there are authors whose books, like some of the books I've given 5 stars and some of them I've absolutely hated. So I'm willing to give them another try because The One True You and Me sounds really cute. It sounds right up my street. It's hella gay and it's all about meeting online friends and the power of online communities. So obviously that's like every booktuber's dream. I love meeting my online friends, people I've met through Wattpad. This should be a really good read. I think it's a medium priority for now. It seems more like a summary kind of read, but I am reading a lot of dark books at the moment, so I might need to break out and try something just really light and easygoing. So this will be the perfect book for that when that moment comes. Now, this next one I don't remember requesting, and I'm sure I did. Well, obviously I did, but don't remember anything about it. So this one is The 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess by Andy Marino, and this is like a dark psychological thriller. It says, from an electrifying voice in horror comes the haunting tale of a woman whose life begins to unravel after a home invasion. So dark and possibly quite claustrophobic and thrillerish. It says Marino offers horrors both existential and visceral. So I think this is definitely going to be a scary book. I love to be scared, so I'm quite up for this. This sounds quite good, even though I don't remember it. I must have enjoyed it at the time. So it's about a woman who has spent a lot of time burying her past to protect herself and her son, and then when she wakes up in the hospital after a home invasion, she tells the police about how she escaped, how she got out through a broken window and fled. But they're telling her, no, the intruder is dead in your house. You've killed him. And she's got no recollection of this. But then horrific memories begin to surface and she has to go back to the past that she's buried. This sounds like it could be a really good, gripping thriller. I would put this also medium priority. Not high because it's not one that I've heard people talking about, but it does sound good. And I think it'll be especially good one to read as the nights get darker, so it's even scarier. The next one I've heard absolutely nothing about, but I saw the cover on Netgalley and it looked really good, and it's queer, and I'm an absolute sucker for queer books, so I tend to request quite a few of them on Netgalley. And this one is An Unexpected Kind of Love by Hayden Stone. This is a hate to love between Aubrey, who owns a bookstore, so we love a bookstore owner already, and Blake, who is an actor who is starring in a film that's being filmed on the street where Aubrey owns his bookshop. Aubrey's bookshop is really struggling, and he gets an opportunity to save it by renting it out to the film company while they're filming. Obviously he's reluctant to do that, but he falls for Blake, the American film star. It says that this is about he's falling for this star who is not even out yet. So there's the sort of hidden romance aspect, which I tend to enjoy, and the famous person with a non-famous person that I really enjoy. So this is everything that I enjoy, and it has an average of 4 stars on Goodreads from like 200 people. So that's a pretty good endorsement. Again, summery, light-hearted romance. Kind of reminds me of The Charm Offensive. It sounds like that sort of book, which I enjoyed. So medium priority again. Not one I'm desperate to read, but one that I definitely think I'll enjoy when I get round to it. I don't think we're even halfway yet. There are so many books here. The next one is Full Flight by Ashley Schumacher. I read Ashley's first book that I can't remember the title of, and I enjoyed it. I think it was like a 3.5, maybe 4. So then when I saw this one on Netgalley, I instantly requested it because it sounded cute. The cover's adorable. It does sound quite basic. It's about Anna, who is part of her school's marching band, and she gets paired for a duet with Weston, who is also in the marching band. I think her parents don't approve of her romance. They fall for each other, I guess. They are secretly seeing each other as the marching band contest is looming closer. I've heard mixed things about this one. You know, the more I read it, the more sort of basic it sounds. So this is a low priority for me. The next one is Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. I read her first book and DNF'd it actually. And I don't think there was anything wrong with the book itself. I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time. I think that was called Written in the Stars, maybe. This one is described as a queer, steamy rom-com. So what's not to love there? It has a gorgeous cover. This one is about Margot and Olivia, who are childhood best friends and I think childhood lovers. And when they meet way later, I think they're in their 30s, or it's been like a decade or something. They are both single and Olivia has nowhere to stay. So Margot offers up her room. So, of course, romance is going to ensue. This is low priority just because I hadn't enjoyed Written in the Stars. There will be a time when I want to read a steamy queer rom-com about Margot and Olivia in Seattle. So that's why I requested this. Because it's queer, because the cover's adorable, and I want to give Alexandria Bellefleur another chance. This is, I think, her 3rd book. A lot of time for her writing to have changed or progressed, and maybe I'll enjoy it more this time. This next one was another cover request, and that is Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. I really love this cover. It's really simple. It just stood out to me, and I've read some of Elle Kennedy's romances before and really enjoyed them. This is like new adult. The protagonists are in their 20s. I think, well, the main girl is 20. I don't know if she's college age, but she moves to Avalon Bay, which is a college town, and she has an internet business and she meets a bad boy. So I don't fully know if she's still at school, but I really want to read more books with protagonists in their 20s, like just older than 18, please, and younger than 30. That's why I requested this one, as well as having enjoyed Elle's books before. This seems like a fairly standard romance. I know it's not going to blow me out of the water, but it sounded cute. And there are times that all I want to read is just like a simple romance, so might as well read it for free from Netgalley. The next two are books that are written by friends of mine, actually, and I got really excited when I saw them on Netgalley, so I instantly requested them. And they are Float by Kate Marchant and Blackout by Kay Monroe. These are both books that started on Wattpad and are being published by Wattpad Books, and they are both people that I've met through Wattpad. So I have high hopes for these because I really like the writers. Obviously, they're my friends. And also the cover stood out to me before I even made the connection that they were my friends' books and that they were from Wattpad. Again, a cover click. And obviously an author friend click. Float is also being turned into a film, which is absolutely insane. I first came across Float and Kate when I joined Wattpad in like 2013, and she'd started writing it. And this is proof that you do not have to be a fast writer, because I think it took Kate like 6 or 7 years to finish writing the book, and now she has, and it's going to be a book itself. It's going to be a film. She is absolutely slaying it. So this is recommended for fans of Sarah Destin and Jenny Han. Obviously is like ideal YA romance vibes. So this is about Waverly, who is caught between her parents in their divorce, and instead of going to Alaska for her summer vacation, she ends up in Florida staying with her aunt. She meets Blake and they fall for each other. And I think there's swimming involved. Obviously it's beachy, it's Florida. This is a perfect summer read. I didn't actually read it when I was on Wattpad because it was never finished, and I don't tend to read books that haven't been completed, even though obviously I expect people to read mine when I'm still updating them because I'm a massive hypocrite. Unfortunately, this is coming out in February, not summer. I wish it was coming out in June or July because that would just be ideal. So I might end up not reading it before it comes out because it's so summery, and I feel a bit weird reading summer books in winter. But I guess when the seasonal depression hits, maybe I will need something to kind of pull me out of that funk. Blackout by Kay Monroe is like complete other end of the spectrum. This is dark, it's mystery. So this is about Ali, who's been in a terrible car accident. As she's recovering, she has no memory of anything. She doesn't recognize her school or her friends or her home, and it's like a really traumatizing time for her. She doesn't recognize her boyfriend, who just wants his old girlfriend back. She doesn't recognize her friends, who just want her to be the Ali that they know. And there's a mysterious boy at the back of the class who wants her to unlock her memories. Obviously, I'm such a sucker for a bit of mystery. I love a YA mystery. Cal is such an awesome person, so I'm excited to read this at last after staying on Wattpad for so long. I'm terrible at reading my friends' books. I think I've only read like 4 in the past 8 years I've been on Wattpad. It's terrible, but so many of them are getting published now, so that's a great excuse to have them on my shelves and read them at last. This next one, I think I saw someone talking about it on Twitter, so I decided to check it out on Netgalley and I requested it on a whim, and that is This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. This is a horror novel about grief and loneliness and the oppressive intimacy of technology. So another sort of claustrophobic horror. The cover is really weird. I find it really jarring. So this is about Thiago and Vera, who buy Itza, which is the world's most advanced, slightly Google Home-like device, or Alexa, I guess. But there keep being weird occurrences like music playing, and then Vera dies and Thiago can't escape Itza, the speaker. I don't know how to think about this one. I'll give it a go. It sounds quite weird and confusing. I do like a horror, and I especially like sort of technological horror. That's one of my favourite genres. I have forgotten that I was assigning priority to things. I'd say this is low priority. The next one is Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly, and based on the cover, I'm not sure I necessarily would have clicked on it because it looks like your sort of standard illustrated romance or possibly YA cover. But then I did, and it features an openly non-binary contestant on a cooking show. One of my all-time favourite tropes is like reality shows in romance. I absolutely love it. To have a non-binary character on a cooking show romance just sounds absolutely perfect to me. This is about Dahlia and London, who are both contestants on the cooking show, and they fall in love, and it sounds chaotic and disastrous and fun. I think this will be a really fun romp of a book. It kind of reminds me of, what was it called? The one that Alexis Hall just wrote. Rosalind Palmer Takes the Cake, maybe? I can't remember what it was called. It definitely had Rosalind Palmer in the title. Queer cooking show romance. This next one I requested because it's set in Wisconsin, and I thought I hadn't read one set in Wisconsin and I needed it for my 50 States challenge. Turns out I have read a Wisconsin book, so that kind of bumps this down the priority list. This is Hello Transcriber by Hannah Morrissey, and it is it sounds like true crime, but it's not. It's about a police transcriber who goes beyond. Hazel is a police transcriber and also an aspiring novelist, and she thinks this case, if she can crack it, is the key to her future. It sounds quite harrowing, quite dark. Obviously it's a murder mystery. This is, I'd say, low priority just because I haven't heard anyone talking about it. It's not one that I'm in a massive rush to read anyway, but yeah, I'd still like to get to it. I'm definitely going to have a month where I just plough through all my Netgalley books. We're down to the last 3. We're nearly there. The next one is Something Fabulous by Alexis Hall, which I requested when someone on Twitter pointed out that it was available for read now. I loved the first 2 Alexis Hall books that I've read, which were Rosalind Palmer Takes the Cake, if that's the title, again, I can't remember, and Boyfriend Material. I just think the humour is absolutely phenomenal. The one-liners are so funny and like the sort of thing you would never think to put together. Just hilarious. Alexis Hall is a really funny writer, and I do not say that lightly. And I don't mean like I was laughing out loud, because when I'm reading, no matter how much I'm enjoying a book, my face just does not change. But on the inside, I'm really appreciating the humour. So this one is a queer historical romance. It's a long way from the contemporary romances that Alexis usually writes, but it's queer, and I've been really enjoying historical queer books recently. So I think this should be great, especially because I already know I love how Alexis writes. So this is about Valentine, who is the Duke of Malvern, who is supposed to be marrying Annabelle, but she's a romantic who flees, I think probably chasing romance, and Valentine has to team up with her twin brother Bonnie to go and find her. And Valentine and Bonnie fall in love on the way, I guess. I'm pretty sure this is what that's about. It says Bonnie is unreasonable, overdramatic, annoying, and beautiful. So I think there's going to be a bit of reluctance here, possibly hate to love, or like annoyance to love. So this one is sort of medium priority again. I think this sounds really cool, and I know I'll enjoy it because I just really enjoy anything Alexis writes. He just has such a way with words. The penultimate book on my Netgalley is A Dark and Starless Forest by Sarah Hollowell. I requested this ages ago, and then only after I started reading it after it came out did I then get approved. I requested this purely based on the cover, because seeing a fat protagonist on the cover of a fantasy novel is like unheard of. I was so excited to see this cover, you know, see someone who looks like me, a fat girl with glasses. It says it's for fans of Wilder Girls, so I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I despise Wilder Girls. It was one of my most hated books of 2019. So this is about a girl who lives on the edge of the forest with all her siblings. I think there's like 8 or 9 of them, and they're all adopted by this one guy who tests their magic. The protagonist's sisters start to go missing, so she has to confront what's in the forest and what lies beyond. I have started reading this already. I think I got like 4 or 5 chapters in, and the writing did feel quite basic and a bit info dumpy. Like there's loads of details about each of the characters and exactly what they look like, and it just felt a bit much, like all at once. So this has moved from high to low priority for me, although it is set in Indiana, which I think is a state I haven't read a book from yet this year. So that bumps it right back up again. So this one's fluctuating. I think I will possibly read it during November, even though it's not on my TBR, because I already started it and it's an ebook. So it's one that I can read on the go a lot more easily. It's dark and foresty and it's full of magic. I will read it. I want to. It's just not that high a priority for me, but I do need to read it before the end of the year so I can cross off Indiana. And now we're finally at the final book, and this one I have started already. I think I'm already like halfway through actually, because it's a graphic novel. Very unusually, it is a non-fiction graphic novel. This is Murder Book by Hilary Fitzgerald Campbell, and it is a graphic memoir of a true crime obsession. So Hilary is a true crime addict, and she has written this little memoir about her addiction to true crime and the books and documentaries that she's read and watched. I love true crime. I really enjoy like well-written true crime, and I love graphic novels, so this is perfect because it's a graphic novel about all of her favourite true crime. And this is described as an unconventional graphic exploration of a lifetime of Anne Rule superfandom, amateur armchair sleuthing, and a deep dive into the high-profile murders that have fascinated the author for decades. This is a funny, thoughtful, and highly personal blend of memoir, cultural criticism, and true crime with a focus on the often overlooked victims of notorious killers. This is right up my street. This is high priority. I think that's the first one I've said is high priority. It's perfect for October because it's murder mystery and spooky, and it's really short, and I'm halfway through it. This I will actually manage to knock off my TBR maybe even by the end of the weekend. I might even replace Our Child of the Stars with this one, because the prompts that I'm using for Our Child of the Stars are gifted to you and Instagrammable cover. And although I feel a bit weird about it, a lot of people do say that Netgalley counts as gifted to you because the publisher has gifted you this arc to read and review. I really like the cover of Murder Book. I think it definitely looks Instagrammable because it's kooky and cartoony. So that would make this weekend a lot easier if I only have to read half of a graphic novel rather than a 450-page book after I finish Black Sun today. So there we have it, at last. That is every book on my Netgalley TBR. Hopefully I'm not about to get approved for any more because I have quite a few on my requested list. Yeah, there are still 28 books on the requested list. I hope those 28 don't all approve me because I can't deal with 46 books on my TBR. 18 is bad enough. Hopefully 17 by the end of today. This is hopefully not going to be too long a video. The recording's on 45 minutes so far, but I think a lot of that has been me trying to read summaries before talking about them because I'm shit at describing books that I haven't read. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed my little caravan nook. This is the little corner of the caravan that used to be a shower, but it's been painted over. It's just full of postcards and cushions now, which is way more important than a shower. If you've watched this far, drop a little book emoji down below. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you want to. And if you've got a massive Netgalley TBR too, let me know and make me feel better about mine. And I will see you in the next one.